So guys, if you want to migrate to Germany, if you want to move to Germany for studies, here are some very important requirements that you need to know if you want to actually study in Germany, because these are some very important steps that you have to go through in the course of you studying in Germany, even before you begin with your studies. So in this video, I will just quickly go through some of those very important requirements. So let's dive right straight into the video. It's very important that before you actually begin with your studies in Germany, you also have to make sure that at least if it's a bachelor's program, you have a school leaving certificate, or if it's a master's program, of course you must have completed your degree program in a previous institution. Also very important is that before you actually begin with your study program in Germany, some countries, not all countries, there are some countries that maybe their school leaving certificates might be considered as insufficient. It's not like up to the German standard. So for example, like countries like Nigeria and some other countries, there are other countries that also their school leaving certificates, if you're going for a bachelor program, the school leaving certificates might not be considered as sufficient enough. So in that case, you might have to go through what they call a student colleague. It's like a preparatory course in which you also be taught like some other subjects. This is just to make up so that your document or your certificate can become sufficient enough. Another thing is that some universities also, they might require you to take an aptitude test. It all depends on the study program, if it's admission restricted or not, like if there are limited space. It just depends on the study program. So you might also be required to take an aptitude test just to show like your capability maybe for that study program, or before you actually enroll maybe for an undergraduate study program in Germany. But first of all, you also have to know that to apply for a study place in Germany, either you're applying through the direct application route or you're applying through the Uni Assist, where with the Uni Assist you also have to pay application fee. Uni Assist, of course, you have to create an account, you upload your documents, you pay the application fee. It could be 75, and as you apply for more programs, the amount could be lesser. But direct application, most of the times you just have to apply through the university's website on the application portal. You fill the application forms, make sure that your documents are maybe legalized, and most importantly is also the proof of language proficiency. You want to make sure that the study program you're applying for, is it taught in German, is it taught in English? If it's in German, what is the level of the proof of language proficiency that is required for that study program? For English taught programs, you might have to show proof of an IELTS, a TOEFL, GMAT, GRE. It just depends. If it's a business course, whatsoever study program you're applying for, you always have to check this. To study in Germany, of course, you have to show some sort of finance that you are capable to sustain yourself with your living expenses. It's like also in France, where you need to show proof of funds, an account statement with a certain amount of money you need, or you can have a sponsor. In Germany, it's also the same. You also need to show some proof of funds. A certain amount is being required for you to have in a blocked account. So that blocked account, the money belongs to you, but you need to be able to show that you have this amount of money before you can actually commence with your studies. International students, you need to show a proof of about 11,904 euros per year to cover your living expenses in Germany. So that's very important. Of course, when applying for your student visa, the application procedure for your student visa is also very important. So to apply for your student visa to Germany, of course, you have to do that in your consulate, the consulate in your country of origin. That is where you have to book appointment to apply for your student visa to Germany. Talking of accommodation as well, after your arrival in Germany, you have to get yourself registered at the local center where you do registration for your residence. So that's a very important step you have to take. after your arrival in Germany, you have to get your address registered at the city center, where all residents in Germany also get their address registered. You have to do that. And there are different types of accommodation in Germany. You have shared apartments like the WGs, you have private apartments. It all depends, but I think the WGs, the shared apartments, they are really cheaper, and some of these WGs are also being offered by the university. So let's say if you are studying at the university, that university might also have WGs, like shared apartment for students, where you share the kitchen, the toilet, the bathrooms, but each and every person has her own private room. So but you share just the kitchen, toilet, and the bathroom. So these WGs are the best means of accommodation, like for students, if you don't want to spend a lot of money. But of course, you also have private apartments depending on your budget. Health insurance is very important. So as a student in Germany, you cannot avoid it. You have to get a health insurance. I think it's also one of the key requirements, or an important document when even applying for your resident permit as an international student in Germany. You have to show proof of a health insurance. It could be a private health insurance, it could be a public health insurance, but you need to show proof of that. And also, to apply for your resident permit in Germany, these things are very important and you cannot avoid them. So guys, I hope you find this video helpful. Do leave your questions in the comment section if you have any doubt on anything, and I'll be glad to respond to your questions. So see you guys in my next one.